Hey, thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate it. It's lovely to see some brand new faces. I want to start off by saying, for me, health is multidimensional. It's not just physical health, it's also emotional, mental, and spiritual health, it's relationship health, it's financial health, it's health of purpose, time health, having the time to really do what we want to do. There's a lot of different things that encompass this thing called being healthy, holistic health. And so we're going to address a couple of those different things today. And of course we start with physical health because that's really the fundamental. That's where in this life everything stems from that. And this actually affects a lot of other things. And so if our physical health is out, then so is our emotional health, so is our mental health, and oftentimes so is our spiritual health. So there's disconnections that occur. And one of the ways those disconnections occur is because we're not nourished. Through stress, through toxicity, through malnourishment in the form of food that doesn't have full nutrient capacity. All of these things contribute to us being out of balance, not being able to have the optimum health and vitality that we really are designed to have. And so for me, body balance is the foundation of that. I've been using it 15 years. I wouldn't be without it. I feel like an entirely different person than the person that started it 15 years ago, even though I was pretty healthy. I feel so much more vibrant and vital and alive. And every year that gets better and better and better. It's like this is my absolute fundamental health insurance that I put in my body every day. And having worked with the product for so long, I have seen tremendous changes. Thousands of people across the world who literally, many of them, got their life back again.
My transformation and my the benefit of Body Balance to me 15 years ago was the first thing I noticed was more energy. And it wasn't caffeine stimulant energy, it was just a good wholesome energy that lasted all day into the evening, and I had some of the best sleep that I'd had in decades. Even more importantly for me, my immune system started operating at top efficiency. I had a reason to know if I cut myself, it would take 14 days to heal over, scab, and look normal. Now it takes 8 days. That's pretty remarkable. Even more remarkable, I was a cold magnet. If there was a bug going around, I was down. I was down with the bug. In 15 years, I've had 3 colds. Now I used to get at least 3 a season. So with all these pandemics going around, swine flu, bird flu, who knows what flu, we can't avoid the bugs, but we can keep ourselves strong and healthy. And that's really the only defense. For me, I work with my mind a lot, my brain. I, at 45, was starting to get a little foggy. Like, where did I put the keys? Who is this person? What am I doing? You know, kind of like spacey. I'd read a book and I'd get about a third of the way down the page and go back up and start again because I forgot what I just read. Don't know if anybody else has that.
Yeah.
I thought that was just getting old. Okay, I'm getting old, you know, that's my fate. It's not getting old. It's normal, but not necessary. What I found as soon as I started feeding my brain with Body Balance, my memory came back. Long-term, short-term, I was able to focus and concentrate. I was not as stressed. I was more optimistic and more joyful, really. I noticed I eat about a third less. And that's pretty common among people who use Body Balance, is a third less. Now, aside from the obvious, which is the cost and putting on pounds, scientists have discovered that people who eat less are healthier and live longer. So there's a lot of benefits to Body Balance, and I'm even more excited about our new product, which I've been using for a couple of months.
Absolutely, yeah. So Be New is our new program, which I am really excited about, having had the privilege of working with a lot of people in the United States over the last few months before we came back to Australia, and just watching people's response has been phenomenal. And I think one of the things that for me is so exciting is that it works at a very deep foundational level in the body. So it's completely different to a weight loss program. There's a lot of weight loss programs out there. One of the things for me that's so exciting about this is in order for our bodies to come back to a healthy place of balance and vitality and connection and all of that, is that we need to make fundamental changes. Going on diets, even exercising to a certain extent, is like treating the symptom. Unless we get to the cause of what is happening in the body to actually create that imbalance, then we're going to continue to have, yo-yo effect and whatever else people experience. And so this program actually fundamentally goes to the core. What is happening in this body? Why is this body in this state? Let's address that.
We have lots of friends who've used diets through the years, and some of the common complaints are, first of all, they feel deprived because they're cutting out certain foods or food groups, and maybe they're making 2 meals, one for themselves and one for the rest of the family. And all their friends are eating the stuff that they love to eat, so they feel pretty bad about that, but even more, they feel horrible. They feel just toxic, grotty, sick, because when they're losing the weight, if they're not purifying, which is very rare, those toxins are just starting to flood their body, and they're feeling awful. So they're feeling deprived, they're feeling awful, and then to top it all off, they have this yo-yo effect. They lose the weight, they gain it back. They lose it, they gain it back. They lose it and gain it back, and that's discouraging. And that's why I'm so excited, Chris, to help design this product that actually goes to the hormonal and the metabolic level to actually treat the cause of why we're gaining weight.
Yeah, it goes even deeper than that. So it's very, very exciting for me to see the fundamental changes that are happening in people, and that shows up in a number of different ways. People feel amazing on this program because what we're doing is we're targeting primarily a number of different places in the body. What we call visceral fat, which is the fat that builds up around our belly and around the organs in the body, but it's primarily this area. And so oftentimes too it builds up around the heart. That's the other area that's really affected by visceral fat. And so when we start uncovering that, we're uncovering the very essence of our strength, our vitality. It affects every single part of our body. If you can imagine, that visceral fat is highly inflammatory, and so there's a ton of inflammation. The more of that fat you carry, the more inflammation you create in your body, which has incredible effects on your hormonal system. Cortisol levels shoot through the roof, which in turn affect and depress a lot of the other what we call endocrine activities in the body. What this does is it also addresses very specifically some of those hormones. The hormones that we find are very depressed and at a very low level in people who have a slow metabolism rate, in people who are carrying excess weight. And usually the more excess weight people are carrying, the lower the levels of hormones like adiponectin, leptin, things like that. Serotonin is another one, dopamine. And these are, serotonin, dopamine, GABA, things like that, acetylcholine. These are things that we call neurotransmitters, and most of them are created down here. And so what we're doing, most people are familiar with, those are the things that make us feel good, right? And so we're depressing our entire vitality, we're depressing our entire system by having this be so inflamed and toxic and covered up. And so that's one of the places that this has been creating such amazing effects. People are just coming into their joy. You know, it's so beautiful to see. It really is. It's very, very exciting.
Mm-hmm. One of the first things I noticed when I started taking it was I started feeling lighter. And this visceral fat Chris was talking about, it's like jelly. And it's all inside the chest cavity and the rest of the body. And if you can imagine your heart trying to beat inside something encased and compressed, same with your other organs. I noticed almost immediately I started feeling lighter. I started feeling more optimistic, more curious about life. My mood elevated. I didn't expect that. I really didn't. And also a small energy lift too, which helps out through the day.
Yeah, it does. And it's, you know, the other thing that it also addresses is how your body's actually metabolizing what goes into it. You know, so it will up the metabolism to where it needs to be really healthy and vital. It helps the body slow down the metabolism of carbohydrates and sugar, so you don't get blood sugar surges and you know, glucose spikes that send your body into all kinds of fat building processes, etc., etc. So there's a lot of ways that this product addresses the causal level of what's happening. And so because of that, we're seeing that the changes that people are experiencing are pretty permanent. You know, as long as they stay on the program for a certain amount of time, and if they go back, you know, if somebody goes back to eating hamburgers and chips, well, of course it's not going to stay like that. But what we're seeing also is the more people are on the program, even from a very unconscious place, the more the choices they make are changing. They're choosing not just a different way of eating, but a different way of living. And it's very, very exciting to see what's happening.
A great program, and it is available now, but I want to talk about another epidemic. We have the obesity epidemic sweeping not only the nation, but the world. It's pretty clear. And it's killing us. It's literally killing us. But there's another epidemic sweeping the world, and that's an epidemic of under-earning. I'll call it time, poverty, and financial poverty. Now, not poverty in the usual sense of, you know, living out of a box on the street, but poverty in the sense that we're not living to our full potential. Chris and I first got together 20 years ago, got married. Like a lot of couples, we didn't have any money. As a matter of fact, we had a lot of debt. And that lack of money dictated where we lived, what we ate, what we did, who we associated with, if or not travel, and it was no travel. And the fact that we had our choices severely constrained by the lack of money. And because of the lack of money, we had a lack of time. We were time poor because we were working multiple jobs to try to keep up. We couldn't get ahead, just trying to keep up. And it didn't work. So about 20 years ago, we decided to address that head on, and we looked at several things and tried several. We knew we had to get out of the job trap. Now, we know a lot of people who own their own jobs. They have their own practice, they're in service business. And why I say it's a trap is not that it's not meaningful, but ask yourself this. If I stop working today, whether I own my own business or work for somebody else, how much longer will I continue to get paid? And the answer is probably not long. And that kind of, that sort of linear income creates, again, a time poverty because you just got to go get another job or another client or whatever it looks like for you. Now, we knew there was another way out. We didn't know what it was, but we knew there was a way out. And it involved owning our own business. The thing is, most people don't have an MBA or a PhD or the background or the resources or the time or the knowledge or the contacts or any of that to start their own business. And yet, in the old economy, a job was pretty much what most people did. Well, this is the new economy. It's no news. Things are changing radically. Jobs are disappearing, never to come back. Entire industries are disappearing. It's never going to go back to the way it was. And we now have worldwide underemployment that's structural, meaning it will never come down. So what's a person to do? Well, if you want to own your own business, but you don't want to be in business by yourself, you'd love to have all that other stuff handled, you know, finance, accounting, legal, all that stuff handled, which is where we were, then we have a perfect industry. We have an opportunity that's squarely rooted in the new economy. And when I talk about new economy, that may sound a little bit different. But let me ask you a question. How was wealth created 100 years ago? Well, largely through having a factory, having employees. 50 years ago, it was working on things in a service economy. In the last 20 or 30 years, it's been a knowledge economy. That's where wealth's created, isn't it? Knowledge, intellectual property. Now we're moving into yet another economy, and it's a virtual economy, right? Name for me a company that didn't exist 15 years ago. It is one of the largest per capita and one of the richest companies in the world. The owners are, I think, under 40. They're gazillionaires, and they don't make anything, grow anything, or service anything. Matter of fact, all they do all day is give away stuff for free. Really valuable stuff for free, and probably most of us use their service today. Anybody? Any takers? Facebook, Google, right? These are new economy vehicles for wealth creation. This is how wealth is created today and in the future. Now, if you're interested in maybe not being Google or Facebook owners, you know, they're pretty high up there in the stratosphere, but you want to get on the right side of the economy and the way wealth's being created, then I invite you to look closely at this thing called network marketing. You see, when I first heard about network marketing, I had the idea that it was pretty much a bunch of old ladies going door to door selling each other soap. And I wasn't interested in that. And some people may still feel that way today, but people feel that way about a lot of things, like chiropractic, for example, or computers, or even cell phones. People have, we're evolving and changing. When I took a good look at this thing called network marketing, what I found is it's the most egalitarian or democratic, most ethical and fairest way to distribute wealth on the planet. Now that may sound a little different, but let me just share something. Krista and I have been responsible for generating over $500 million of direct sales over the last 15 years. And that's been distributed over about half of that. I'd say between $200 and $250 million to people just like you. Now, typically when you go to a store and buy something, you may know, like a loaf of bread or a box of cereal. It may cost 50 cents to $1 to produce that, but you're paying $5, $6, $7 for that. That money goes to middlemen, what we call middlemen primarily. They're distribution people, they're doing advertising, they're renting the store, hiring employees. There's a lot of people that get a piece of that. In network marketing, it's direct to consumer. Direct to consumer. Let me give you an example. Let's say I find a product I like, Be Lean or Body Balance. I'm losing weight, I feel good. I do what people do. I tell my friends, I say, Krista, I've lost 5 pounds. I've lost 3 kilos in the last week. Wow, this is great, you know? And she says, well, this sounds good. Where do I get some? I say, well, get it just like I do, right from the factory. Here's an 0800 number. Call them up. Tell them I sent you. Krista does that. She rings them up, says, I want some of this product. They say, great. What's your method of payment? Where do we ship it? They handle all that. They send the product directly to her. But unlike when I recommend a Thai restaurant or a new movie or a new book, the company called Life Force International, an almost 30-year-old company, sends me a thank you check for doing that piece of work that they would have had to hire a celebrity to endorse and advertise and try to get you to buy it. They're going to share that middleman expense with me. Now, it gets really good because the first month, Krista might use it on my recommendation, but if she gets results and likes it, the second month, she's using it because she wants it. I may not have even seen her in that time. She calls the company again and says, send me some more. They say, yeah, great, we will. And then they send it to her and send me another thank you check. I go, well, this is pretty good. I haven't even seen Krista. She must really like that stuff because I got another thank you check. Wow, pretty cool. But it gets even better because, you know, people will stand up in meetings just like this and say, this has changed my life. This product has absolutely changed my life, and I'll take it the rest of my life. Now, as a friend, I feel good. Wow, I recommended something somebody likes well enough to use the rest of their life. That's what friends do, right? But as a business person, you know what else I hear? I've got an income the rest of her life. Pretty interesting. pretty interesting. Unlike a linear income, which stops when I stop working, I can possibly get paid the rest of her life. Now it gets even better because if she tells a friend and says, hey, I've lost some weight, maybe you want to try it. The friend says, yes, where do I get it? She says, get it right from the factory like I do on an 0800 number. He calls, gets it from the factory. The factory sends her a check and me a check. Thank you. Thanks for doing that piece of work. If he shares it with her, same thing. She orders, he gets a check, she gets a check, I get a check. I get a smaller check. Look, this isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. It isn't a lotto. It's a new method of distributing goods and services on the planet. It's bypassing that old industrial era model. This is the new economy. This is how wealth is created. We create virtual networks that can go around the world. They go viral, go around the world, and create steady, lifetime, intergenerational income for us. Like I asked earlier, if you stop working today, how long will you get paid? The answer is probably not long. But in this model, I can stop working today and continue to get paid for the rest of their lives. Pretty exciting, because suddenly that thing called time poverty takes on a whole new dimension. When I no longer have to punch a clock or deal with clients or run a traditional business, I can start to make choices about where I live, what I do, how I invest, how I contribute, who I associate with, and the rest of my life is mine. I own the rest of my life.
Yeah, the other piece before we close is about community, because one of the key pieces of what we do is we build community, and we do this work in community. And so one of the things that Michael said is that, you know, on a very practical level, whatever wealth is being created is going back to the people. It's going back to the community. It's not going to a shareholder in Hong Kong. And so it's this amazing gathering of the forces here. You know, like this grassroots, we are working together. And I love the support that we give each other. It's an extraordinary community of people who are part of this thing called Life Force. And it's, for me, one of the greatest gifts is that we get to be part of this community. We get to build the community, grow the community. And the community now is like, you know, in 5 countries. So it's very exciting, because when somebody goes out to try and do something on their own, to create a new life for themselves, to you know, start a business, whatever it is, mostly people are on their own. And talking about the new paradigm and how we're moving into a whole new way of doing things, we have to do it together. Doing it alone doesn't work anymore. If we are to make change on this planet, we've got to work together. And so for me, this is, there are so many layers of passion for me in what we do. And this thing about community is a big piece for me. Because, you know, whoever decides to join us, you are joining the community. And you have all of the resources that community brings. Yeah. When somebody starts this business, there is a whole team of people there holding you. And showing you, this is the next step, this is the next step. This is where you can find this. It's a very, very different model.
And in addition to that, you get complete training. There's no sort of capital required to get started. You don't need to have some special language skills, special background. You didn't need to go to the right schools. You don't need to speak and present well. You don't need to have much of anything. None of that stuff's important. It's not, I should say, it's not as important as it is in traditional business. But what is important is 2 things. You have to have a dream. You have to have a goal. You have to be wanting a better life for yourself and your family. You have to want kind of unlimited income that's possible. And number 2 is you have to be willing to work for it. Now, most people I know are hardworking. They're willing to work, but they want to work for something that makes a difference, something that contributes to others. Mm-hmm. You see, one of the things Krista talked about is this is a cooperative business model. This isn't a competitive business model in the old sense. We can always compete against ourselves for excellence, but we don't need to compete against each other to make a living. That's pretty brutal. I'll never go back to that. Why would we? This is about a new way of doing business and a new way of living. And it's time we can take our power back. We can take our economic power, and we can take our time power and our relationship and community power. We can have extraordinary lives if we want them.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be willing to take a chance. But I want to invite you to take a chance at our risk. You see, if you want to try these products, do it at our risk. You can try them unconditionally for 90 days with a full money-back guarantee. That's right, you can use them for 3 full months. And if you don't like the color of the packaging or the way it affects you, you can get all your money back. Even more importantly, how would you like to get your products free for the rest of your life? Now, I don't know about you, Kristen, I make an extraordinary income doing this, but I love free. Free is good. It's real good. And it's very simple to do that, and we'll help you do that. See, Chris has said something especially important. If and when you decide to do this with us, we go to work for you. We don't just say, well, here's a good book, read it and go to work. We actually work with you shoulder to shoulder, hand in hand, and we go to work in your business, helping you become successful. Because it is a cooperative business model, the only way we can get more successful is by helping you rise up and be successful. That's extraordinary. It's the 180 out from the competitive business model. And I believe once you get a taste of it, you won't want to go back. So don't take our word for it. Don't take our word about the products of the business. Test drive them yourself. After all, it's about you. It's not about us. And here's how you can test drive, just like a car. Let's say you go to a car lot, you see a nice shiny car, you say, I like that one. You probably wouldn't throw the money down and say, I'll take it. You'd probably say, well, I want to take it for a test drive. I want to try this thing out and see what it does, see if it performs as good as it sounds and looks. So you get in and turn the key and go down the road and, yep, feels good. Getting a green light, well, I'll keep going. Get another green light, keep going. Yeah, this feels good. These products are working. Yep, feels good. Now, if you get a yellow light, slow down. Look around, be careful, and if you get a red light, stop. It's not for you. That vehicle's not for you. We're not interested in having you make a snap decision or some sort of a lifetime commitment on the spot. That's not how we operate, and that's not what we're after. See, we're after long-term, satisfying, mutually beneficial relationships. We are a community, and we want people who want to be part of this community. So we're only interested in offering you a chance and access. The rest is up to you. So do yourself a favor. Take us up on our offer. Try the products at our risk for 3 full months. And if you get a green light, try the business. See if it's true. See if you can get your products for free. See if you can make a couple hundred extra a week or a couple thousand or maybe 5,000 or 10,000 a week extra. And see how that affects your life. See what kind of choices you have and see if the rest of your life doesn't look different once you get that this is secure income for the rest of your life. And when you pass on, it goes to your children. And when they pass on, it goes to your grandchildren. And these incomes can go on hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. So with that, we want to leave you and thank you, and may you have all the success that you deserve.